all, we have a wire arranged on a PCB in this kind of structure. So generally we have a requirement, right? We might have to have some stitching wires around a particular area, or a string of wires, or we can also say array of wires might be required in some scenarios. So in that cases, which kind of arrangement do you prefer? Is this kind of arrangement preferred, or is this staggered way of arrangement preferred? There are different kinds of approaches that PCB layout engineers do consider while arranging these wires. So, this particular staggered kind of arrangement has its advantages compared to the wires which are almost stitched together. Why? Because what happens is when you want to route, okay, for example, let us assume we want to route from a particular IC from the right to the left. So let us assume there is IC here. Okay, so when we try to route staggered kind of arrangement, you can route the signal between the wires, and you can imagine the second layer would let us assume second layer is a ground layer. So second layer would also be this way only, right? There will be a space between the wire and the second layer as well, if it is a continuous ground plane. So in that case, what happens is when a signal is routed, there will be a continuous reference plane in the second layer as well. That means there is no void that is there for the signal to cross. Now, let us assume we have to route a signal between these wires. In this case, we try to route the signal, and this has to cross this particular void which is there between these wires, which is not a good scenario when we are routing high speed designs, right? We don't want the signals to cross void, because in such case we will have a longer return paths. Let us assume the signal is routed this way. Now the return path will be this side or this side, whichever is shorter, right? Now if you route this way, the return path is immediately in the next layer itself, and which is continuous. So which is a very good scenario when you consider a staggered kind of wire arrangement. So one simple thing that we can say is, when you have a requirement of arranging a wires in a particular area, a string of wires to be arranged, it is better to arrange the wires this way such that the area between these wires can be used for routing, and also you can have a continuous ground plane without any issues. A simple scenario. So why specifically I wanted to discuss this with you is, one of a PCB layout engineer, while I was talking, was preferring this kind of arrangement, the staggered kind of arrangement, whereas I was proposing this kind of arrangement. So when I came to know the advantages of arranging this, and having the space being used for routing the signals with continuous ground plane, I agreed with him. I was of the view that when you have this way, you have a continuous ground, more written paths. In the sense, the return path will be together, and you will have a good current that can be synced into this. That's what my thought was, but ultimately I felt this would be an ideal scenario. Please post if you have any questions. Please post if you have done this kind of arrangement for wires, or this kind of arrangement of wires when you wanted to have string of wires in a particular area.